So we have this huge box here, some nice protection, and then we have to be a little bit careful with taking this out. There's already a warning here not to scratch this and also not to touch this while it's working, because it's very sensitive, it's very hot as well. So I'm not going to show you how I take this out. I will grab it from underneath, and so I've moved it out. It was very easy, just a 30 seconds job, absolutely no problem. And so we have it here. I've also plugged it in. Comes also with this 4 soft rubber feet, so it has a very safe stand. On the sides there is pretty much nothing, so we have everything on the top really good. So of course we have to find out where the ventilation is, where the hot air is going. If there's some hot air, that's gonna be very important. But we really have nothing on the side and also nothing in the back except from the opening for the filter. You can see that here there's some instruction, and then we have the opening. Yeah, remove the sticker so you can see that maybe a little bit better how this works. So we have a lower part and then upper part of the charcoal filter, which we have to remove and replace both of them. I think the most important parts of the instructions are this part here, where we have a nice overview of the main functions, and here on the right side nice description of the brown material with high carbon content and the green material with high nitrogen content, and also description about the ratio. And what they are saying is that you have to use about 4 times more carbon rich ingredients like the brown material than the green material. And so the only thing which we really have to install is the drip tray from the front. We have to lift it up and then push it here inside. By the way, if you want to replace or remove the carbon filter, then you have to also remove the drip tray first, otherwise you don't have access to the carbon filter. What's good that we can put it on the side, has a safe stand even like that. I don't know if you can remove it like that or if you have to remove these 3 screws first. Can't see that at the moment. I just see that there is quite some resistance here. Probably we better remove the screws here to remove the filter. And to open the lid we have to turn it counterclockwise. Just make sure that it's nicely cooled down after the program. And then we have these arrows for the locked and the open position. So we have to rotate this. Now it's in the open position and we can easily remove it. Also here inside we have this arrow. And so we can just lift it out here. It's massive thing, really heavy, very solid tray here, massive metal. We can see the heating coil underneath and the electric contacts, and inside we have these knives. Here in the back we can also see the fill levels, the low and here the medium or maximum. And so after we take out we can easily clean this. By the way, this bucket is made in so good quality that it's even dishwasher safe, but we have also an automatic cleaning function. So after emptying and roughly cleaning the bucket, we can put it back and fill it with around 2 liters of water, and then we can press 3 times on the mode button, 1, 2, 3, and you can see it goes automatically into this 30 minutes reheating function. After these 30 minutes, a little bit of cool down. You have to be careful, it's really hot. You can pour out the dirty water, maybe rinse the bucket a little bit, put it back, and then use the drying function, which is pretty much same thing, just with an empty bucket. We press 3 times again, and you can see it goes automatically back into this 30 minutes function, which this time is the drying function. And then put it back. Just make sure that you align this arrow here exactly to the front. Just hold it and then rotate it left and right a little bit and put it fully down. Make sure that it's really fully down because of the thread. So I think in this position it's perfect. And then we align the arrow to the opening position and rotate it clockwise to secure it. After that we plug it in. Here on the left side we have the on-off button, but it goes automatically in the on. Usually when it's off you have to long press. Then we select how much we have inside, either low, medium or large. And on the right side we choose the desired program, either quick to just remove the smell more or less, or standard, or fermentation, which is then the final compost. And depending on that, you can also see the time. So with a low amount and quick, it's only taking 2 hours and 15 minutes. But with large and fermentation, it will use the maximum amount of 20 hours. So I'm adding here a little bit of stuff from the kitchen. Here we have this banana skin. I've cut this in small pieces because it has a pretty strong fiber. Then I have some coffee grounds. And I'm adding also some green and brown from the yard. Here we have some basil, which is not in good condition anymore because we had some insects. And then I'm adding a little bit of leaves here. So we have plenty of brown stuff. So I'm filling this up here. I hope that's a good mix. I can't see a maximum fill level for this stuff, but this looks good, at least for me. And so I'm adding the filled bucket here inside. Add the lid and lock it. And I'm going here with the medium. This is just a guess from me. I mean, that's quite a lot, but it's not very wet. So for me, I'm going with the medium. And of course, I want to have full fermentation. So I'm choosing this here. And now I have to press for 1.5 seconds to activate this. And so let's see what's going to happen. And you can see it starts rotating and heating up. And so I keep this running till the very end. So and after exactly 20 hours, the program has stopped. And by the way, I have tested the power consumption here with this power meter. The total consumption was 0.6 kilowatt hours. If we multiply this with average US energy cost or electricity cost, then the cost of these 20 hours processing was only around 10 cents. So it's definitely not much. And the peak power was at around 540 watts. Also not very high. So you could even run it like from a large power station or so. But let's see the result here. Let's open the lid. And so let's take it out. And so here we have the result, the thing which you have been waiting for. And as you can see, it is super dry at the beginning. The whole thing was very wet. It produced a lot of condensation, a lot of drops here inside, and I couldn't see inside. But after about 5 hours, it started to clear up. And after about maybe 6 hours, it was fully dry. So I've been able to use my flashlight and look inside what's going on. What I have to tell you is that this thing doesn't look only now like that. It has been looking very, very similar already since about, like I would say, hour 5 or hour 6 or so. After that, it hasn't done a lot, especially I think because I've not been using a lot. I mean, this is probably close to minimum, and when it's running like that, it's not doing much. You can see it's not really cutting anymore. I mean, it would never really cut this thing super small, but there is quite some small stuff, I would say, pretty amazing. And I think it's not only because of the coffee ground, and by the way, it's really absolutely not uncomfortable to touch this thing. This is super dry. There's absolutely no moisture here anymore. It's like touching normal soil which you can sometimes buy in a supermarket. There's not much difference to see, but of course there's a large discussion about what this really is. Is this really comparable to normal compost? Can it be used right away as a fertilizer for your plants or for your herbs? And I've been reading a lot. I've been reading for hours, and a lot of people seem to be very disappointed by the result. For me, that looks actually pretty good, and I'm really tempted to put a little bit to my plants. Some people are saying, yeah, you can just use it more like a mulch. Definitely looks and feels somehow similar to the mulch which you can buy, just a little bit smaller, of course. During the time when it has been running and I've been doing my research, I expected a much worse result. So this is actually pretty positive. Of course, on the other side, we have to be aware that it's still quite some power consumption, definitely not a huge amount, but I mean, this is a pretty large machine. There's also a lot of metal and electronics and whatsoever inside. this has to be produced with a lot of energy, then shipped from China to the United States, and then you can run it for a while, and I don't know how long this thing will last, and at the very end it goes into garbage, filling up a landfill, or will be burned at the landfill, producing a lot of waste. So the overall result regarding the environment impact is definitely very questionable. One of the largest blogs which I have found about such electronic composters, their conclusion was that you can't really have some positive impact on the environment. But on the other hand, it's very clear that it's much more safe, much easier to store something like that. You could put this in a box and store it. Maybe if you live in a cold climate, can't use it when it's winter, you can store it and then use it in spring in your backyard or so, compared to normal food waste, which turns into something really crazy. I mean, I have seen this over and over when we were collecting this food waste years ago. So maybe this is not directly usable fertilizer, but definitely something much more natural, much more useful than what I've been putting here inside. Of course, we have to be aware of that we need quite a lot of brown things, so we cannot take just everything from our plates or the remainders which we have, just put it inside, let it run. We have to really almost measure, make sure that it has also enough brown stuff here. It's not super easy, but it can definitely work when we respect the right ratio between the green stuff and the brown stuff. Then of course maybe you want to know how loud this thing has been, and I can tell you it was definitely not loud during the operation. Usually I would say 90% it's pretty quiet. The only thing which you can hear is the fan down here, and so you could easily watch TV maybe 5 or 10 yards away from that. Even run it when you have an open kitchen, shouldn't be any problem. Just a couple of times it has been, I think it has been reverting, and then it got a little bit louder, but that was pretty rare. Also regarding the heat, I have very positive news. I've been fearing that it would produce similar heat like an air fryer or so, super hot, you cannot touch, and it would emit super high heat to the bag, and so you cannot put it close to a wall or backsplash. That's absolutely no problem. I've been touching it every now and then from the beginning till the very end on the top, and even here on the glass. There were some times when it was a little bit warm, but I never had the impression that it was so hot that I could get burned, and especially outside. I mean, here in the front and on the side it was never really warm, and only in the back it got a little bit warm or almost hot, but there was never like a fan blowing really hot air outside. It got just, I would say, very warm here during the operation here in the back, but you don't have to be worried about like a backsplash or wall or so, something like that. So my overall experience, I would say, is actually better than what I've been expecting from everything what I've been reading about this process. It's definitely amazing to see how this machine can turn some food waste into this awesome stuff here within short time. I mean, when you have a compost outside, then it can take years to get some real fertilizer, and that's at least pretty close, I would say. So maybe you can do some research also from your side, but as far as the machine goes, I would say I can give you full recommendation. And so if you're interested, I'll put down the link to the Amazon listing down into the description, so you can check it out and order it right from there if you like it. And I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with this video. If you have any questions or comments, just write to the comment section below. I'm always happy to talk about these things. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.